According to legend, the malevolent Morgan le Fay is a wicked witch who plots the demise of Britain's heralded King Arthur. The truth, however, is not so simple. Rather, Morgan is a multifaceted woman, torn between her roles as a fairy, human, and planetary heir to Britain's throne. Those same legends would have one believe that Morgan was born at Tintagel Castle, the child of Lady Igraine and the Duke of Cornwall. This is false. Only after Igraine enters into a loveless partnership with Britain's king, Uther Pendragon, is Morgan eventually conceived. To that end, she is Uther's human daughter, but also so much more. While she comes from Igraine's womb, Morgan is just as much a fairy child of the planet's inner sea. Thus, all at once, Morgan embodies three separate identities: a human, fairy, and a direct spawn of the island of Britain. Only Morgan herself is aware of this miraculous development, so she keeps it a secret and allows herself to be raised as an ordinary human. Deep down, she knows that, as Britain's child, she is most fit to inherit the throne and guide her nation to glory. The island's mysteries course through her veins, and yet Uther fails to recognize her potential. At best, he sees Morgan as a mere stepping stone toward his ultimate goal, a child born with the power of the Red Dragon, one who can oppose his rival Vortigern. He believes his own power, Britain's black primeval energy, ends with him, and is blind to the fact that Morgan has inherited this sovereign curse. Thus, rather than preparing the throne for his first daughter, Uther and Igraine marry and consult with their court mage, Merlin, to conceive their prophesized child, Artoria Pendragon. Morgan's birthright is stolen from her by a human girl bestowed with dragon energy. It is from this betrayal that Morgan le Fay's roles begin to contradict. As a human, she wishes to love her younger sister. As a fairy, she wishes to support King Arthur. In contrast, herself as an avatar of Britain wishes to reclaim what she has lost. To mediate these conflicting responsibilities, Morgan develops individual personas. One persona emerges from Morgan's anger and wrath. Her hatred for Uther and Artoria extends to the kingdom and its people, and she yearns to either claim Britain as her own or watch it perish under Arthur's rule. In opposition, she has a persona that views Artoria as a cherished baby sister. To that extent, she both loves and loathes the king. Yet another persona emerges from her duty as a fairy to protect Britain from harm. She happens to be a special fairy known as a Great Mother, a fairy of the lake who chooses to aid King Arthur. This persona is Vivian, the good lady of the lake. Morgan's evil side grows envious of Artoria's progress. Upon pulling Caliburn, the sword in the stone, King Arthur is recognized throughout the land. Knowing this to be a grand show orchestrated by Merlin, Morgan takes advantage of his womanizing tendencies to lay a trap for Artoria. As a result, Caliburn breaks, depriving the king of her sword of selection. Responding to this tragedy, Vivian calls upon Artoria and bestows upon her Excalibur, a fairy-made divine construct. At each step, Morgan's conflicted nature both sabotages and saves the kingdom. This duality extends to Morgan's children. With King Lot of Orkney as the father, she gives birth to Gawain, Gareth, Gaheris, and Agravain, all of whom wind up joining Artoria as Knights of the Round Table in Camelot. Gawain grows to be Arthur's impersonator, the White Knight of the Round Table, a loyal subject of the Sun who inherits Excalibur's sister sword, Excalibur Galatine. Gareth and Gaheris serve to follow his example. Agravain, on the other hand, initially joins the Knights of the Round Table by Morgan's command, tasked with sabotaging the king's reign from the inside. He reluctantly agrees, but upon serving under Artoria, he deems her a king worthy of the throne and serves her willingly. On a technical level, Morgan le Fay is classified as an A-ray, a greater fairy with strength on par with Earth's elementals and even true ancestors. She can rival the gods, but due to her opposing personas, she never unleashes her full might upon Britain. Instead, she prefers to scheme, hoping to inherit the land, not destroy it. Regardless, her Vivian persona is an adept mage who studies under Merlin. By the end of her life, Vivian's magecraft is strong enough to match her teacher's. Her most potent spell is Garden, an incantation from the Age of Gods that seals her enemies in a dreamlike bounded field. Its variant, Lost Will, strips away at her captives' minds, torturing them into self-loathing. With Camelot's construction, Morgan le Fay goes into hiding. She returns to infiltrate Camelot once more when she discovers her younger sister is attempting to conceive an heir. Merlin assists Artoria with his magic, making her into a pseudo-male who can impregnate the queen, Lady Guinevere. However, before this plan is brought to fruition, Morgan intercepts the ritual, enchants Artoria with a spell, and extracts the king's sperm. Within her own womb, Morgan develops this seed and gives birth to Mordred, a homunculus clone of Artoria. Like Agravain, Morgan raises Mordred as a ploy to Arthur's reign, sending her to Camelot to usurp the throne. Morgan gifts her child with a noble phantasm, Secret of Pedigree, the helm of hidden infidelity, instructing her to never remove the helmet in the king's presence. As with the other knights, Mordred swears fealty to Artoria, admiring the king and punishing those who oppose her. Thus, when Morgan reveals the truth of her birthright, Mordred is proud to learn she shares the king's blood. She detests her wicked mother, yet finds delight in the fact that she's Arthur's child. However, Artoria rejects Mordred as heir. Left without a proper reason why, Mordred is cast into hatred, setting in motion Artoria's eventual demise. First, Agravain discovers Sir Lancelot having an affair with Guinevere. He is killed when Lancelot flees. Hoping to rescue his beloved, Lancelot slays Gareth and Gaheris before leaving the country. Taking advantage of this political unrest, Mordred sparks a rebellion. While Arthur is on a campaign in Rome, Morgan le Fay once again plots to have Avalon, Excalibur's scabbard, taken from her. This robs the king of her immortality, and when she returns to Britain, she is met by Mordred's army ready to end her. Through the bloody Battle of Camelot, Artoria and Mordred run each other through, causing both of them to perish. On her deathbed, Artoria entrusts Sir Bedivere with returning Excalibur to the Lady of the Lake. Morgan's evil wins out, and yet she responds to the king's death with grace. She is one of the fairies who carry Artoria to Avalon, the king's promised utopia. As Vivian, she accepts Excalibur and ventures to Avalon in order to lay a trap for Merlin. The two share an intimate connection, so when Merlin proves unfaithful, she uses the Innocent, another variant of her garden spell that imprisons him within a tower in the Garden of Avalon. The spell is powered by a mural inscribed with the words, "Only those free of sin may pass." As a human, Morgan sets in motion a process through which Artoria may eventually be revived. Striking a deal with the Atlas mages of Egypt, Morgan establishes what becomes known as the Blackmoor Cemetery and uses it as a site to host her sister's various aspects. One of the Atlas superweapons, Logos React, is commissioned to simulate Artoria's mind within the cemetery's catacombs. To preserve the king's sacred lance, Rongo Minyad, Morgan has Atlas build a seal known as Logos React Replica. This small device, nicknamed Ad, houses the lance's mystery with an artificial intelligence she based off of Sir Kay of the Round Table, the one knight who adored Artoria's kingship the least. Descendants of the Blackmoor villagers are entrusted with protecting Ad, and on occasion have the potential to become Artoria's new body. As a parting gift, Morgan entrusts them with her mystic code, Erosion, Penetrating Blade of Gold. It has the ability to separate a person's body, mind, and soul, allowing them to be rearranged in different combinations. When the day comes that Artoria's key components are brought together, the villagers can use this blade to unite them. Even if she herself doesn't wish for it, Morgan reluctantly prepares for her sister's resurrection. As a witch, she continues to oppose Merlin, antagonizing the 12 paladins of Charlemagne. Over time, Morgan le Fay is remembered as the knight saw her. She is both good and evil, an innocent fairy who preserves Britain as a warrior maiden while possessing the brutality of a witch. To complicate things further, stories of Morgan's life transform and expand over the years, resulting in legends that further bolster her fame. For better or worse, all of these aspects are recorded into the Throne of Heroes. In the modern era, Morgan is summoned as a ruler-class servant by Beryl Gut, cryptor to the British Lostbelt. Even after death, Morgan wishes to watch over Britain, viewing it as her land. She is devastated to learn that in this Lostbelt, Britain has fallen to ruin. Such a tragedy was never her intention, and so she yearns to save it. All on her own, Morgan learns that this Britain is not actually the one she used to live in, but rather an alternate timeline where the founding fairies failed to forge Excalibur. Cast out of Avalon for their sins, these fairies continued to sate their selfishness, living off the corpse of a god, Cernunnos, and devouring humans as nourishment. These sad, merciless creatures continue to live and die in misery, assaulted every 100 years by a dark calamity. Without consulting her master, Morgan reasons she can fix this broken Britain and claim it as her own, to finally establish the rule she was denied in life. To do so, she ray-shifts her own memories back in time to her closest equivalent, allowing her current body to perish. This equivalent fairy, Vivienne, plays a unique role in the British Lostbelt. She is sent from Avalon to save these exiled fairies. By completing a pilgrimage around Britain, she can atone for their mistake of killing Cernunnos and abandoning Excalibur. Sadly, the fairies don't welcome her arrival. It's as if her very existence instills rage in them. The only exception is the Rain Clan, which raises Vivienne to the age of 16. This is a short-lived peace, however, as the other fairy clans move in to massacre the Rain Clan. Vivienne is fated to die in this invasion, leading to the desolate world Morgan finds in the future. By inheriting Morgan's future memories, however, Vivienne is able to survive. She accepts her task of saving the fairies, taking on the alias Ash the Savior. Hers is a bizarre mission, wherein she must save the very fairies who seek to kill her. She wonders if it's even worth saving those who are so ungrateful. Fortunately, not all fairies are her enemy. A handful of trusted recruits, the Tam Lin, or Fairy Knights, stand by her as she averts the incoming calamities. Eventually, Ash's efforts pay off, as a human king is able to unite all the warring fairy clans. Just when peace is within reach, this king, Uther, is poisoned during his coronation ceremony, reigniting conflict amongst the clans. Bearing witness to this tragedy, Ash abandons her pilgrimage, refusing to sacrifice herself for these vicious warmongers. She finally takes on the name of whom she inherited memories, Morgan, and sets out to conquer Fairy Britain. Fully embracing all of her power, she makes use of the calamities and quickly establishes herself as High Queen. From her throne, she tyrannically rules the kingdom for 2,000 years. Invaders stand no chance against her, as she has mastered Rongo-Minyad in the form of a spell. Her fortress at Camelot is fortified with 12 of these lances to keep Cernunnos at bay. Having effectively replaced proper human histories Morgan, this Lostbelt Morgan strives to have her kingdom expand across the rest of the planet, to transcend its humble state as a Lostbelt. To enforce her rule, Lostbelt Morgan recruits more fairies to serve as her knights. The ferocious Barghest of the Fang clan is dubbed Fairy Knight Gawain. The dragon of Albion's left hand, Melusine, is dubbed Fairy Knight Lancelot. Then there is Boban Shi, a prostitute from Darlington, whom other fairies berate and abuse despite her innate kindness. Morgan chooses to adopt this vampiric fairy as heir to the kingdom, dubbing her Fairy Knight Tristan. Under Morgan's tutelage, she learns witchcraft as well as how to be cruel toward others. Tristan becomes a vile woman, taking pleasure in tormenting her subjects. Morgan ignores these sins, knowing that the fairies have already proven to be hateful enough on their own. She may not show it, but Morgan truly loves Tristan as her own daughter. Despite this, Tristan isn't strong enough to handle Morgan's full witchcraft. For sheer amusement, however, Beryl Gut pushes her past her limit, causing her body to rot and decay. Morgan's most loyal retainer is perhaps Woodwose, a Fang Clan general that has served her for centuries. He has a short temper and violent tendencies, but tries desperately to civilize himself for the sake of her kingdom. After so many years, Avalon births a second savior, Artoria, to complete the pilgrimage Morgan abandoned. She receives help from the Chaldea Security Organization, building an army strong enough to finally invade Camelot. Even this proves futile in the face of Morgan's true might. One of her spells, Water Mirror, can absorb Calamity's whole and send them back in time. Her Magecraft Thought form allows her to create alter egos that fight on her behalf. Only through deception and trickery can one hope to defeat her. Morgan's demise comes when Woodwose is falsely led to believe she left his forces to die on the battlefield. Sneaking into the throne room, he leaps onto Morgan and sacrifices himself to subdue her. By the time he realizes his mistake, it is too late. To put the mad dog out of his misery, Morgan runs him through, only to be confronted with other rebels. Her career as a tyrant has earned her many enemies who now show up for her head. Among them is the fairy Spriggan, who has taken Boban Shi as a hostage. In a brief moment of shock, Morgan lets her guard down, allowing soldiers to stab her from behind. Even though she retaliates, she is too weak to return to her throne. Not wanting to lose her kingdom, she begs to be brought to her throne, but is instead mutilated by her foes. None of them realize that, by occupying Camelot's throne, Morgan has been protecting Britain from Cernunnos' resurrection. Without her, the savior Artoria and Chaldea will have to defeat the vindictive god once and for all. Fortunately, Artoria finally completes her pilgrimage and ventures down to Avalon, where she forges and inherits the might of Excalibur. Cernunnos' demise allows the Lostbelt to finally vanish, making way for humanity's survival. Even though she perished during this conflict, Morgan, or Ash the Savior, is summoned by Ritsuka Fujimaru as a proper Chaldean servant. She treats Ritsuka as her husband, at first for political expedience. As Chaldea's esteemed master, surely a partnership with them will grant Morgan a higher status within the organization. This sentiment is, of course, replaced by a genuine bond and mutual trust. Honoring their partnership, Morgan sets aside her ambition of Fairy Britain for a more universal cause. Thanks for watching.
If you enjoy this channel, help us grow by liking, commenting, sharing the video, subscribing to OtakuDaiKun, and
most of all, smashing that notification bell so you don't miss out on all our anime lore, discussions, and Let's Play content.
You can support us directly through Patreon, Subscribestar, or a YouTube membership, all of which come with benefits like spicy exclusive vids and early access.
As always, celebrate your fandom. I want to give a special shout out to all my $10 and up supporters: VideoGamer75, Dante Pendragon, WurgGX, Stephen Elak, The Nonchalant Ostrich, Otaku Mom, Jens Bauman, Mystic Samurai 1983, Free Brick, Olympian Doll, Alexis Yukio Gomez Yamato, Lunar Works, Link Pendrago, Observer Bellis, James Hewitt, Uncanny EXP, Zamas Autonomous, Yuki Eidos, Crow Kalem, Scout, Sal Soto, Tristan Riggin, Mayfu Mado, Caitlin P, Sogai CH, Vladimir Ovna, The Taz 96, Jonathan Padua, Kengo X 77, Hersha of E-Rated Hands, Alistair Bernadotte, and Akakaze Yume. Thank you all so much.